Apple's $5 billion spaceship campus, Apple Park, boasts stunning design and futuristic features. Now, it's supposed to be the workplace of the future, but when it first opened, employees kept having to call 911 because people were hurting themselves, walking into glass walls, raising concerns about safety. That's mostly been settled, but the major design flaw that I'm talking about here today is something that not even Apple founder Steve Jobs nor his predecessor Tim Cook was able to foresee. Now, if you're a developer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. See, open floor plans, they also have their downsides. While an open floor plan is great for collaboration, it's also a cause for constant distractions that can hinder productivity. And for introverted programmers, quiet focus zones are essential. While Apple Park promotes community and nature, does it offer enough isolation for deep work? Join us as we deep dive into Apple Park's design, exploring both the stunning aesthetics and the potential safety hazards. We're also going to hear from Apple CEO Tim Cook on his productivity secrets inside Apple Park, and we're going to see if this spaceship lives up to the hype. Let's go inside and uncover the good, the bad, and the insane of Apple Park. So Apple Park was hailed as a marvel of the 21st century architecture and real estate. But soon after the $5 billion spaceship campus opened, 911 kept getting calls from Apple employees crashing into the glass walls. Here's what they told 911.
Almost immediately after the campus opened in January, people started getting hurt by accidentally walking into the building's glass walls. The San Francisco Chronicle got the recordings of the 911 calls for help.
So we had an individual who ran into a glass wall pane.
Into a glass door on the first floor of Apple Park.
They are bleeding, slightly disoriented.
You know, this would be funny if it weren't so tragic. I mean, imagine spending $5 billion on a state-of-the-art spaceship campus for Apple, boasting about a huge glass-walled building with the latest in energy efficiencies and a 100,000 square foot fitness center, and it sits amid an orchard, meadows, and a pond. All that only to end up having to make 911 calls over and over, people walking into the building's signature glass walls. In one incident, a man in his late 20s ran into a glass panel head first in the middle of the day, cutting open his brow. According to a second emergency call later that day, a middle-aged man slammed into a glass window hard enough that Apple staff expected that he would need stitches just to close his wound, also on his eyebrow. When this kept happening, Foster & Partners, the architecture firm behind Apple's headquarters, did not respond to a request for comment. The building's curved glass design, something that was backed by late Apple co-founder Steve Jobs at the time, it was meant to inspire creativity and collaboration, with employees taking in the California landscape and bountiful green space. But apparently they underestimated just how much people would be looking down at their iPhones and their iPads and just totally missing out on the glass walls coming their way. Now, apparently the story is way back from when Apple Park was first set up. Apple has since placed additional rectangular stickers on the glass panes all throughout the building to be able to prevent people from walking into them. But this is just the tip of the iceberg for today's video. Something to, pardon the pun, wrap our heads around the fact that no even billion-dollar real estate like Apple Park also has its flaws. In fact, let's talk about some of those design flaws right now. Investors rightly question the high cost of Apple Park, especially considering Apple's recent lack of major breakthroughs. While the meticulous detail might seem impressive, examples like sourcing specific stone and the overall extravagance kind of make it seem a little bit excessive, even indulgent as some have described. Critics predict it might become an abandoned wasteland in the future. I think this just demonstrates the whole other level that these billionaires are playing at. Most people are taught that you only need a good job to become rich. But as you can see from the sheer scale of Apple Park, these billionaires are operating on a whole other playbook that many don't even know exists. You know what I mean? They've got 9,000 parking spaces for 12,000 employees. That definitely raised some eyebrows. As another columnist noted, 90% of them will commute, putting an enormous strain on the Cupertino roads and surrounding parking lots. I've been talking to my developer friends and they have mixed feelings about the open floor plan. Sure, collaboration is crucial at certain points, but kind of misses the plain fact that much of the dev work happens solo, and constant exposure and openness can be distracting. Introverted developers in particular might miss the focused privacy of an office or a cubicle. Openness has its merits: light, air, energy, and community. But remember the college lab dungeon? No distractions, just you, your thoughts, and the task at hand. Now, if you want my perspective, well, I think I've pretty much outdone Apple Park's workspace game. As a post-corporate work-from-home entrepreneur, I operate from the true future of work, my walled-off personal office right here, and my commute, a very efficient 7 seconds. But hey, I know Apple Park has its merits as well. For one, I heard from someone who worked there in 2018, and they couldn't stop raving about the multi-level cafeteria. Apparently, they had every kind of food that you can think of. Everything was prepped in-house, and they grew all of their own fruits and and vegetables. You gotta admit, that sounds kinda sweet, right guys? More about Apple Park coming in this video, the good, the bad, and the insane. Just first, a quick thanks for everybody who's watching the video. Thank you guys. A real big thanks for always lighting up the like button. And if you haven't already, do consider subscribing to the channel and tapping that notification bell. You know, you would really make my day and keep our YouTube lights on. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys here on the channel, but let's continue. So let's talk more about the pros of Apple Park real quick here. Forget about cubicles, think pods. Apple Park offers modular spaces that adapt to your needs, whether you're focused solo, brainstorming with colleagues, or winding down with coworkers. They're really proud about how people working there can so easily connect and solve problems while strolling through the building. It's not just about aesthetics. The obsessive attention to detail and craftsmanship is meant to inspire. It's Apple's way of saying details matter, strive for excellence, even in your work. Some might be put off by over-perfectionism, but a lot of people do believe that the real value lies in what will be created within these walls, not the walls themselves. Think national park, not office park. As Apple CEO Tim Cook put it, imagine working in a national park. One writer echoed that sentiment, describing the atmosphere as peaceful even amid the clatter and the rumble of construction. It turns out that when you turn a skyscraper on its side, all of its bullying power dissipates into humble serenity. It may have its design flaws, but no doubt people see it as an iconic landmark. There's no denying the building's impact. It's a modern cathedral destined to stand tall for generations to come. It also helps with what Apple CEO Tim Cook calls a mental palate cleanser. In 2011, Tim Cook took over as CEO of Apple following the iconic Steve Jobs. Now, during his tenure, he's overseen a massive expansion in profits, with the stock price increasing by 1,022% in just a decade. According to his recent interviews, Cook prioritizes long-term vision to help manage the pressure of such a high-profile role. He schedules regular meetings with various teams across the company and even takes time for walks throughout Apple Park's campus, which he recently mandated as the primary work location for 3 days a week, mind you. When the pressure does start to ramp up, Cook employs one simple trick to clear his mind: going outside, something that's all too convenient to do given where he works, Apple Park. And it's not hard to see the appeal, honestly. Taking a look inside Apple's massive $5 billion spaceship headquarters, the first thing that a lot of people notice is how it's built kind of like a park, flat and grounded, instead of like a skyscraper, tall and imposing. So imagine a campus so stunning that it might just be the world's most impressive. That's Apple Park, a sprawling 176-acre architectural marvel. This tech paradise was not built overnight. Steve Jobs' vision, announced way back in 2006, took a whopping 8 years to materialize. Planning, proposals, permits, you name it, they did it. Finally, 3 years later, the massive ring-shaped building welcomed its first Apple residents, becoming an instant icon. Apple's known for its dedication to design, sustainability, and pushing technological boundaries, and the park embodies these values flawlessly. But let's not sugarcoat it. $5 billion is a pretty hefty price tag, even for a company worth trillions of dollars. So where did all that cash go, and what makes this campus so special? Well, let's go ahead and dive in here. So Apple Park boasts extensive green space, a whopping 80% of its 176 acres, over 9,000 drought-resistant trees like cherries, apricots, and yes, even apples provide a natural haven for employees. Need to stretch your legs? Explore 3.2 kilometers of walking and running trails, or grab one of the 1,000 bikes for quick commutes between buildings. Prefer other activities? Hit the gym, wellness center, or even basketball courts. Feeling desk-bound? Unwind in the 2-story yoga studio. All said, Apple clearly prioritizes employees' well-being alongside environmental initiatives. But let's go ahead and dive into the deep tech of it all. The main ring building houses one of the largest rooftop solar farms, generating 75% of peak energy needs. Biofuel and natural gas powered fuel cells handle the rest. And here's the kicker: the building utilizes natural ventilation for 9 months, not needing traditional heating and cooling at all. Definitely some pretty impressive green credentials, I gotta say. The iconic central building of Apple Park, often nicknamed the spaceship, stands tall with 4 stories and over 1.2 million square feet of office space. This massive structure can accommodate 12,000 employees, but its design goes way beyond mere size. They prioritize natural light and connection to the outdoors through 800 colossal curved glass panels, some towering as high as 45 feet, creating a seamless indoor-outdoor feel. Beyond aesthetics, the building boasts hidden technology for safety. Deep underground, an innovative base isolation system comprised of 692 massive steel plate safeguards the building from earthquakes. These plates allow the structure to shift slightly slightly without damage, ensuring employee safety. Further maximizing green space, the entire parking area and the road network, they're all concealed beneath the surface. Sustainability plays a key role throughout the park. The 7 cafes, including a giant 3-level space with seating for 3,000, cater to the expansive workforce. And with a catering capacity of 15,000, the infrastructure is ready for possible future growth in the company. There's also the inspiring Steve Jobs Theater, mirroring the circular form and boasting the world's largest carbon fiber roof. To get there, you'll have to descend in the tallest freestanding glass elevator on Earth, 42 feet. After you survive the long trip underground, the place rewards you with a 1,000-seat auditorium full immersive experience. Apple Park is undoubtedly a marvel of modern architecture and engineering. While some may say they find the open floor plan a little challenging, its innovative features and commitment to sustainability are undeniable. Ultimately, whether it's the future of work remains to be seen, but certainly pushing the boundaries and sparking important conversations. So what do you guys think about Apple Park? Is it a shining example of workplace design, or is it a case of style over substance? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. More financial and real estate insights in the next videos. I'll see you guys there.